God will sometimes allow these things to happen so that out of this, dito mo makikita kung gaano kabuti ang Diyos. Amen. So, mga kapatid, papatuloy na lang ako dahil hanggang ngayon, mga kapatid, ay buhay na buhay sa akin yun. That was like 5 years, 6 years ago na nangyari ito sa buhay namin, yung mga bagay na yun. And hanggang ngayon, mga kapatid, talagang hindi ako makapaniwala na may tataas pa sa Supreme Court, Sister Cecil. Talo ka na sa Supreme Court, pero nung tinawagan sila ng isang company ng Stock Exchange and Commission, SEC, sabi niya, pag hindi nyo ito inayos, yan tumawag, Sister Cecil, presidente ng SEC. Hindi basta sekretary lang. Mismong siya ang tumawag. Pag hindi nyo ito inayos, hindi kayo makakapag-trade sa Stocks and Exchange sa Philippine Stock PSE. I-revoke niya yung license. Doon nagmumula yung pera nila sa Stock Exchange, sa mga stockholders. Kaya within 48 hours, they need to hire a private plane, not private, business class, na talagang super mahal. Parang, alam mo, pag sasakay ka na bukas, iba ang mahal. They need to take the plane. Because they took the word. Ito ang katotohanan nung parang narinig ko kasi sinabi ni Sita Maribik, na akala ng Diablo nagse-celebrate na sila. They are drinking champagne already. But they did not realize that the battle is not yet over. Mga kapatid, Sister Alice, bakit kami hindi magiging ganitong ka-vocal? Bakit tayo hindi magiging ganito katapang sa pangangaral ng salita ng Diyos? Mismong tayo, Sister Maribik, ikaw, you are a recipient of God's grace. Tayo mga nakatanggap, Sister Arlene, Sister Elaine, yung asawa mo, alam mo na mahirap siyang makakuha ng visa. In my own professional opinion, nung makita ko ang kaso ni Brother Ben Cruz, sabi ko, ang mga dinaanan mong abogado, napakagagaling na. Ang isa pa doon kilala ko dahil dating senior officer ng home office na ngayon nag-abogado na kasi dati barrister siya tapos nag-work sa home office, so nakakausap ko siya, I know this man. Hindi ko siya kilala personally pero I had communication with him, we email, we talk. I know him, he's very good. He worked to the home office and he became a private lawyer who handled Brother Ben's case. And another case, and another lawyer. Pero alam mo yung marami ka ng dinaanan. I always remember yung buhay ng babaeng inaagasan for 12 years. Nasa loob ng 12 taon, Sister Christy, naubos na yung pera niya. She spent all her money to medicines, to doctors. Hanggang sa, the Bible tells us that her disease. Alam mo yung Sister Cecil, yung disease, it's a dis-ease. We have word like easy, ease. You are at ease. You are uneasy. But disease, dis-ease, it's not easy. Yung sakit ng babae na yon, na marami nang naubos niya na ang kanyang mga resources and everything. But when she heard that Jesus Christ was passing by, nung makita niya na ang Panginoon ay dadaan, that was her last chance to get well. You see, sometimes God will allow for you to be at your last breath, to be at your last hurrah, so that you will know that it's not by you, it's not by anybody's connections, it's not by anybody's resources, but God will show you that without His grace, without His mercy, nothing will happen. Amen mga kapatid. Magpapatuloy tayo sa ating mga kapatid dahil ito ay hindi pa naman sermon ito, Sister Cecil. Ito ay Bible study pa lang. Magpatuloy tayo mga kapatid. Simula tayo sa 1 Samuel chapter 30. Ito mga kapatid, yung the Amalekites had invaded the south and Siklag, attacked Siklag, and burned it to the ground. Sinamantala ng mga Amalekita, they took advantage of the defenseless city. Kasi David and his men were on the other side. They were at the north trying to join the Philistine army. And the Amalekites, they took advantage. Kaya mga kapatid, isa sa mga lessons learned na natutunan ko ngayon sa gabing ito mga kapatid na pwede nating pagsalusuluhan, be careful. When you are defenseless, be careful when mararamdaman mo naman yun. Pag Kristiyano ka na, Sister Mercy, pag ikaw ay nasa Panginoon na talaga, na matibay ka na talaga. Kasi minsan may tibay yan May level yung pananampalataya, Sister Cecil May mga baby Christian, ganyan. Diba? Yung tipong malakas lang yan sa una. But the faith will be tested over the years. And as the years goes by, your faith will be strengthened. Titibay ng titibay yan. Pero tayong mga Kristiyano, alam mo yan kapag ang Panginoon, hindi masaya. Mararamdaman mo yan, Sister Lorraine, pag ang Panginoon hindi mo kasama sa isang desisyon. Sister Arlene, pag hindi mo nararamdaman na wala ang Diyos dito sa transaction na ito. And that is the time the devil is going to attack. Because there is no hands of God in that relationship, in that transaction. So be careful. Nakala natin nakikipaglaban tayo sa isang banda, but the enemy is going to attack those part of our lives which are unguarded and defenseless. Kaya we have to be ready. We have to guard everything. Papatuloy tayo mga kapatid because of the time. Then David and the people who were with him lifted up their voices and wept. So itong mga lalaking ito, yung kasama ni David na 600 men, were so sad, were crying, were weeping, until they had no more power to weep. They've lost. They've lost everything. Kasi yung mga pamilya ng mga taong sundalo ay alam na natin na nakuha ng mga kalaban. And at the same time, Philistines did not want David at all. Inayawan din si David ng mga Palestinians. And at the same time, yung pamilya pa nila, mga kapatid, ay nakuha pa ng mga kalaban. And his friends, his armies, were talking to stone David. Gusto na nilang pamatuhin si David. David was also crying because everything and everyone was lost. And he was crying, mga kapatid, not just because of the family of his people and his families, but also knowing that the reason why they have lost was because of him. He was responsible for it. You see, the most difficult acceptance in life is the acceptance of guilt. To accept that it was you who made this mess. It's like Jonah. Jonah could have Jonah could have avoided, could have said that it wasn't me. But Jonah was strong enough, brave, to say, it was me. It was me. It's bravery. It is courage to accept that it was you who made the mess. It was your mistake. But David accepted that. He was in great distress. But the Bible tells us again, mga kapatid, but David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. Diyos din ang nagpalakas. Si David din ang nagpalakas sa sarili niya. He strengthened himself. Lalo na sa ating mga OFW, mga kapatid. Pagka may sakit ka, sino ba nagpapalakas? Di ba ikaw din? Pag hindi mo pinalakas ang sarili mo, sino magpapalakas sa'yo? Amen, mga kapatid? Lagi ko yung sinasabi, mga kapatid, na there is no one who will best encourage yourself except yourself. Naalala ko si Bishop when he was in Saudi Arabia, kasi nag-iisa lang naman siya doon, wala sang asawa, wala sa mga anak, wala sang katulong, isa-isa lang. Tayo. Marami sa atin ganun. Kung wala tayong mga kaibigan o partner o mga kapatid na tutulong sa atin, nag-iisa ka sa buhay, pag may sakit ka, sino bang tutulong sa iyo? Di ba ikaw lang din? Kaya mga kapatid, kailangan nating palakasin din ang ating mga sarili. Amen? Huwag lagi tayo naghihintay ng encouragement. Bagamat magandang makarinig tayo ng encouragement, but the best encouragement should start from us. Bagamat of course, we wanted to be inspired by others. But just like David, it was said that he strengthened himself in the Lord his God. Siguro naalala ni David yung pagmamahal ng Diyos. Why? How? He was rejected by the Philistines. You see, Sister Mercy, some of the rejections are a manifestation of God's love. If God allowed David to join the Philistines, baka hindi mapigilan ng Panginoon, baka mamaya mapatay din siya ng Diyos. But God loved David so much that the rejection of the Philistines happened because God doesn't want David to join that army, because the Philistines are fighting against the Israelites. And David could not be the king of the Israelites when he himself was fighting against God's people. Kaya sometimes, mga kapatid, yung mga rejection, akala natin hindi natin nakuha. Akala natin hindi yun yung para sa atin, hindi na pa sa atin. But could it be that God loved you so much that God has to stop you, to shut the door, could made that thing or made that person na para sa'yo, pero hindi binigay ng Diyos sa'yo? Because God loves you so much. Kasi baka mag-iba eh. Baka mag-iba ang takbo ng panahon. At baka yung naranasan ni David, baka mas malala pa. Kasi kinakalaban mo na ang bayan ng Diyos, na mahal ng Diyos. At maaaring naalala ni David ang mga pangako at ang pagtawag ng Diyos. Siguro naalala niyo yun at that time. You see, kaya maganda yung minsan ang tao, kaya nga ang tawag sa ating mga kulungan, sa Bilibid Prison, ang tawag niyan rehabilitation or tinatawag nilang correctional. Yung mga nasa Bilibid, mga nasa criminal justice, they are called being corrected. Ang sa atin lang naman parang ex-inmate eh. Pero actually, God will sometimes allow things to happen at the lowest point of our lives so that we see. makita natin mga kapatid yung pag-ibig ng Diyos. At naalala marahil ni David na ako ay binahiran ni Samuel noon eh. When I was a boy, I remember the oil flowing down my head. And Prophet Samuel, one of the prophets, the greatest prophets of God, was telling me that I will be the king of Israel. And now, look at me, I am now here. Nasa pinakamababang puntos na ako na aking buhay. At maaaring naalala ni David yung higher calling sa kanya. Na hindi yun inalis ng Diyos sa kanya. At maaaring sinabi ni David, I need to go back. I need to do in accordance to what God is calling me to do. At maaaring naalala ni David yung mga pagtatagumpay na ibinigay sa kanya ng Panginoon, mga kapatid. Past deliverances, maraming mga pagtatangka, mga near death na maaaring mamatay na si David. Pero hindi hinayaan ng Diyos. You see? Sometimes we have to count our blessings. Kailangan lagi mong bilangin yung meron ka. Pastor, wala naman akong blessing ngayon. Ay bakit? Marami kang blessing. Buhay ka pa. Yung bahay mo hindi nasunog. May trabaho ka pa. May employer ka pa. Buhay pa ang mga anak mo. Buhay pa ang asawa mo. Buhay pa ang magulang mo. Buhay pa tayo. Wala tayong sakit. Wala tayong COVID. Kumakain tayo ng masasarap. Kanina lang, inibitahan ako ni Sister Arlene sa kanyang napakagandang tahanan sa may bandang Iling. Meron pang cake. May masarap na lechon. May mga nilagyan pa niya, Sister Mercy, ng toyo, yung lechon na inihaw, tapos nilagyan niya ng konting toyo, ng suka, tapos may sili pang labuyo, yung green. Alam mo, Sister Cecil, yung panlasa natin, blessing na yan eh. Tapos pagkakain ko pa, Sister Cecil, meron pang cake. Pero mo nakakalasa ka ng pagkain. Amen ba? Alam mo bang ang matatanda? Alam to ni na Sister Alice ni na Brother Jay. Yung matatanda, alam mo ba Sister Christy na maraming matatanda ngayon, ginigiling ang pagkain. Pinagsasama-sama. Ang tawag doon, puree ba Brother Jay? Puree? O, puree ba Sister Alice? Tama?
Homogeneous, Pastor.
Homogeneous, o yun. Pero alam ko yan, ginigiling yan para, tapos ang iba pa, nasa tagiliran ang kanilang toilet. Bubutasan sa tagiliran mo, Sister Mercy. Pero tayo hindi. Blessing yan ng Lord, mga kapatid. So we have to count our blessings. At isa rin sa mga encouragement siguro ni David, mga kapatid, isa rin doon, mga kapatid, yung in-encourage siya ng Panginoon. Maraming mga hari ang sinumpa ng Diyos eh. But David was one of a kind. Mahal na mahal ng Panginoon si David. But I like what he said in Samuel. Sinabi ni David sa kanyang sarili. David said in his heart, in 1 Samuel 27 verse 1, that got him into this whole mess. Siya rin ang naging dahilan eh. You see, mga kapatid, minsan ang pinakamalaking pagbabago sa buhay ng tao. Yung mismong tao, sasabihin niya sa sarili niya, you know what? I need to change. You know what? I put myself into this mess. Ako ang naging dahilan dito eh. And I need to do something. I need to change. You see, that could be the best talk. That could be the best encouragement. When the person said to himself, like you talk to yourself, and I say, you know what, from this day, hindi ko na gagawin to. Kung dati ka naninigarilyo, from today, hindi na ako maninigarilyo. From today, hindi na ako manloloko ng kapwa. Pag today, ganito, magbabago ako. And this is what happened to David. He took ownership of the change he wanted to happen in his life. And when we do that, kaya sabi ng Panginoon, buksan mo ang puso mo. And God always asks us to make a decision. Kaya itong decision ni Brother Marshall, ni Sister Cheng, ng ating mga kapatid, ni Sister Alice, kayo mga kapatid, hindi naman kayo talaga dating mga Kristiyano. Dati kayong Kristiyano, sa tawag sa ating Christian. But it took your decision to know Jesus in a very deeper relationship. And it was your decision. It was not as if somebody pushed you. But just like David, he made that decision. Siya ang nakipag-usap sa sarili niya na magbabago ako. And because of that, yun ang nagpalakas sa kanya. Now ito yung sinasabi ni Pastora kanina mga kapatid. Shall I pursue? Shall I overtake them? Alam na natin na matagal nang wala si David sa Panginoon. Matagal na niya nang hindi nakakausap marahil ang Panginoon. And he could simply have done it. He could have simply attacked the enemy. Because that is a normal response. Natural response for a soldier when they are being attacked is to respond back, to retaliate. But David made that decision to bring everything to the Lord. Nagtanong siya sa Panginoon. Just because you are successful before doesn't guarantee that in your every attempt, you are successful again. That's why sabi ng Panginoon, Sister Alice, ang pag-ibig ng Diyos, God's love is new every morning. Sabihin new. It has to be taken back. It has to be claimed every single day. Every single fight, David understood the principle. I need to ask God. Yun ang maganda kay David. And God said to him, pursue. For you shall surely overtake them, and without fail, recover all. Binigyan siya ng Panginoon eh. Inutusan siya ng Panginoon for something to do. He has to pursue. How many Christians fail simply because they do not pursue? Many people fail. Many Christians would like, many Filipinos would like to succeed. But the problem with Filipinos, they have a big heart, but they don't really pursue. They don't really pursue. You see, mga kapatid, you don't deserve anything. You don't deserve something when you are unwilling to pursue. Pursuit is the evidence that you recognize the reward. You appreciate the promise. Ang promise ng Panginoon kay David, if you pursue, you will overtake them. And without fail, recover all. Binigyan siya ng pangako ng Panginoon because of His willingness to pursue. Kaya kayo mga kapatid, don't just make a dream. You have to pursue. At ang Panginoon mga kapatid, kapag nag-utos sa inyo, He's not just gonna tell you to pursue. He's going to give you a promise. If you pursue, you shall overtake and you shall recover. But David could have said, well, Panginoon, what's the point? Wala na eh. Iyakan na itong mga tao ko eh. Kasi, nag-iisa na lang siya eh. Natatandaan mo yung ganung situation, di ba? He was on his own. And his men would like to stone him to death. He did not know if his men will still follow him. But the good thing about David, just like ito yung sinasabi ni Pastora kanina. Kaya pag nakita mo, Sister Christy, you see at the middle of the storm, kaya meron tayong tinatawag na the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm, Sister Mercy, is said to be the most unmoved part of the storm. Because the eye of the storm, the center of the storm, is very solid. It doesn't move. But the storm is really talagang chaotic. Habok ang ginagawa. But at the middle of the storm, anong sabi ng Panginoon, Sister Cecil? Be still and know that there is God. In the middle of your storm, in the middle of discussions, in the middle of the heated argument, be silent. Go back to the basic. Ask God. And you will see the response. Yun ang sinasabi ng Panginoon, mga kapatid. So David went. You see? Sabi ng Panginoon, pursue. So David went. So the action of David was a response of God's command to pursue. God told David to go and pursue them, and David did exactly that. Madaling sumunod sa Diyos, mga kapatid. Simple lang naman ang pagsunod sa Diyos. Pag sinabi ng Panginoon, do this, do that. Just do it. There are many times, mga kapatid, that God only requires obedience. So lost the kingship. He lost the monarchy. He lost the lineage of the kings and the princes of his generation. The Benjaminites could have been the bloodline of the next kings and queens of Israel. But it was clear, and it was mentioned in the previous chapters that we have read, that Prophet Saul said to him, because of your disobedience, God removed. He removed the crown of your head. At hindi kinalimutan ng Panginoon. Hanggang ngayon, mga kapatid, binabasa natin, sobrang galit ng Diyos sa Kanya. Obedience to the Lord is often that simple. Madaling sumunod sa Diyos. Pero ang tao minsan may ginagawang kakaiba na hindi ayon sa sinabi ng Diyos. Pag ang sabi ng Panginoon, kaliwa, huwag ka na magtanong. Sometimes you have to obey God even if we don't understand. Even if it's not logical. But God said, do this, just do that. He and 600 men, mga kapatid, I will go and pass through the 10 o'clock range. He and 600 men who were with him, who almost stoned him to death, but because David strengthened himself. David strengthened himself in the Lord his God, and he inquired of the Lord. And since he did what God told him to do, God pushed his men to back him up again. Walang imposible sa Diyos . Kayang galawin ng Diyos ang lahat ng bagay. But we need to be a participant of the promise. Obedience is the key. Obedience unlock success. Ito pa nakakatuwa kay David. David went and the 600 men who were with him. You see, ang nakakatuwa dito, Sister Alice, was that David went. Siguro sinasabi ni David na, guys, I know you don't like me now. I know you're crying. I know you're weeping because we've lost all of our families. But you know what? I have a promise I heard from God. I don't know if you will believe it, but I do. Whether you come with me or not, but because God is on my side, and He said that I will beat all the Amalekites, even if it means that I will go ahead and fight all the Amalekites by myself. But naniniwala ako na hindi mabibigo ang pangako ng Diyos sa akin. Now, guys, I'm going to fight. It's up to you to come with me or not. You see, mga kapatid, kapag nagsimula na sa isang tao yung lakas ng loob, yung may paniniwala ka sa Diyos, mga kapatid, maraming sasama sa iyo eh. At sometimes, mga kapatid, alam kong lalampas tayo sa oras, pero dahil sa napakaganda ng ating kinain kanina, kaya hayaan nyo ito mga kapatid na dessert na natin. Yung kinain natin kanina kay Pastor at kay Bishop, main course. Gamitin natin yan sa pangangaral ng salita ng Diyos. Alam mo kaya ko konti, mga kapatid, ang nagiging Christian, kagaya natin. Kasi iba ang approach eh. Minsan kasi nasa approach din yan eh. Sister Christy, Sister Mercy. Nasa approach natin. Ano ang ibig sabihin ko nito mga kapatid? Kapag kayo nangangaral o nagpipreach o kayo ay may katabi, may kaibigan na inaakay ninyo sa gawain ng Panginoon. Alam mo ang best technique, Sister Cecil? Huwag mo silang dali na, sumama ka sa amin. You know, gaganda ang buhay mo. Sumama ka sa amin, gagaling ka. Or, kasi minsan yung inaakay natin, may kanya na silang relihiyon eh. Diba? May kanya-kanya silang paniniwala. And minsan, ang maraming tao na napapansin ko, hindi sumasama sa atin dahil hindi naman sa ayaw sa atin. Pero alam mo kaya hindi sila sumasama sa mga Christian, mga born again? Dahil ayaw nilang matalo sila. Naku, pag sumama ka dyan, talo ka. Diba? Alam mo, nakikita ko magandang approach, Sister Elaine. Ang sabihin mo ganito, alam mo, kaibigan, kuya, ate, mami, daddy, kaibigan ko, alam mo, nung nakilala ko ang Panginoong Hesus, parang naramdaman ko, sumaya ako. Parang gumaan ang pakiramdam ko. Hindi naman nawala ang problema lahat. Pero parang nagkaroon ng kakaiba sa buhay ko. Parang something is peaceful. Nagkaroon ng kulay ang buhay ko. Sumama ka sa akin. Baka try mo rin. Baka maranasan mo rin yung naranasan ko. You see, pag ang approach mo, Sister Maribik, sa mga kausap mo ay parang hindi antagonistic. Hindi parang challenge. Minsan, sasama sila eh. Minsan ang iba, hindi sumasama sila kasi parang pustahan eh. Diba? Pero pag ang approach mo lang, Sister Cecil, sumama ka, tingnan mo lang. Baka din, baka maranasan mo rin itong naranasan ko. Siyempre, hindi ko alam. Pero ako, ito naranasan ko eh. Nung makilala ko si Jesus, parang may problema man ako, may sakit man ako, nagka-COVID man ako, pero relax lang ako. Pero nung wala ako sa Panginoon, parang lagi akong natataranta. Pero simula nung makilala ko si Jesus, nagbago ang buhay ko. Try mo. Baka maranasan mo rin yung naranasan ko. Ganun yung ginawa ni David. Ako mga kapatid, sabi niya, guys, ako nawalan din ako ng pamilya kagaya niyo. Pero kahit lumuluha ako, may pinapagawa sa akin ng Diyos, lulusob ako sa kalaban. Baka gusto niyo sumama para yung pangako ng Panginoon ay mangyari din sa inyo. Sumama sa kanya mga tao. Mahirap ang trabaho ni David ha. Hindi naman siya talagang lahat nagtagumpay eh. May mga failure din siya, nakita naman natin eh. Pero it was his approach. Napasama niya ulit, na-motivate niya ulit. How do you motivate someone when you yourself is also a victim? When you yourself is also down. But it takes faith to rise above what you see. It takes belief. It takes full confidence in God to rise above. Na despite of what I see, the Bible says, Sister Mercy, I will walk by faith and not by sight. Lalakad ako sa pananampalataya. Hindi ko titingnan na nakikita ko. Kundi ang titingnan ko ay yung mga pangako ng Diyos. And that's what David saw. And that's what David shared to his people. Na may pangako sa akin ng Diyos. Now, kung maniniwala kayo, sumama kayo sa akin. Kung ayaw nyo, wag. Walang pamimilit. Amen ba mga kapatid? Kaya, yun ang sinasabi ko mga kapatid. Na kailangan patuloy tayong manalig sa Panginoon even if what we see is exactly opposite to what we believe. Kasi nakikita mo negative eh. Yung nakikita mo, ay, refuse ang visa ko, refuse ang appeal. But could it be that God is testing you? It's like Pastora. She could have said, wala nang magagawa ang tao kasi Supreme Court na yan eh. Pero the faith of Pastora and Bishop, they said, yes, wala na tayong magagawa. Pero alam mo, Sister Christy, ang kinanta namin, alam kong may magagawa ang Diyos. Wala ka nang magagawa. Pero yung Diyos ba, Sister Mercy, wala na ba siyang magagawa? Supreme Court ng tao, kataas-taas ang hukuman ng buong bansa. Yes. But there is much higher. The Supreme Court, the senior judge, is above. At yun ang pananampalataya. You see, sometimes ang pananampalataya, Sister Alice, is radical. Radical. Yung hindi logical. Kasi ang faith hindi logic eh. Bakit ka pa naniniwala? Eh wala na. Oo, pero naniniwala pa rin ako eh. Na may Diyos. Mga kapatid, tapusin ko na itong konting-konti na lang. Now, this was the turning point when they were chasing the enemies, the Amalekites. They found an Egyptian in the field. Kasi itong Egyptian na to ay parang sugatan. Iniwanan siya ng mga Amalekita. As David and 600 men pursued the Amalekites, they came across a man collapsed in the wilderness. You see, when God gives you a promise, Sister Mariby, God will always leave a hint to where God is leading you. God will give you a hint. When David defeated Goliath, Sister Christy, Goliath was a gatekeeper of the throne. But David, because of his tenacity, because of his faith, he knew that I am not going to be the king without Goliath standing on my way. When God is bringing a Goliath against you, Goliath should be your point. Goliath is going to be your line or your sort of, this is an indication that he is against me because he's trying to block me on my throne. Pero laging sinasabi ni David yan, lagi mag-iiwan ng bakas ang mga pangako ng Panginoon. Bibigyan ka palagi ng mga signs. When God said to Abram, you're going to become the father of many nations, come out. Come out of the tent. I'm going to show you something. Okay. Abram said, what is it, Lord? Look up to the sky. What do you see? I see the stars. Look down below. What do you see? I see the sand. Just like the stars and the sand in the seashores, so shall be your line, your bloodline, your lineage, your next generation will be countless, and you will be called the father of many nations. When God give you a promise, He will give you a hint. Magkakaroon siya ng mga bakas. And then eventually, you will connect the dots. Pag kukonek-konektahin mo yun. Why did Naomi? Mga kapatid, can I go deeper, mga kapatid? Sister Mercy, can I just go a bit deeper on this? Because this is a very crucial point. And when I was reading this, it came to me, Sister Maribik, when Naomi went back to Moab, why did God allow famine? Hinayaan ng Panginoon ng tagutom sa isa Jerusalem, sa isa Israel, so that Naomi and Elimelech went to Moab. Moab is a cursed nation of God. But in Moab, naranasan ni Naomi ang mga pigati. Her husband Elimelech died. Yung mga anak ni Naomi na si Malon at saka si Chilion died. Alam na natin yan, mga kapatid. And that's why when Naomi was coming back to Jerusalem, Naomi was saying, people of Israel said, "Oh, Naomi, welcome back." And Naomi said, "Don't call me Naomi." Because Naomi means princess. Naomi means blessed. Naomi was trying to say, "No, don't call me Naomi now. I'm no longer Naomi. My name is Mara." Because the hands of God was removed. She was bitter. Nagkaroon ng kapaitan ang buhay ni Naomi kasi namatayan siya ng asawa. Namatayan siya ng 2 anak. At yung pagbabalik niya sa Jerusalem is just... But look at this, Sister Cecil. Naomi went to Moab, and in Moab, she found Ruth. She found Ruth. And as we all know, Ruth said to Naomi, "Wherever you go, I will go. Whoever will be your God shall be my God. Wherever you die, I will die." Orpha left. Orpha kissed Naomi goodbye. But Ruth came with Naomi back to Jerusalem. If you will think about it, Sister Mercy, Naomi's distress, Naomi's failure, Naomi's disappointment was in accordance to God's plan. Without Naomi's son Malon died, he could have child with Ruth. Kasi ang unang asawa ni Ruth si Malon eh. Not Boaz. Wasn't it? But God allowed Jonathan as well to die. If Jonathan lived, when Saul died, Jonathan could have been the king because Jonathan was the next in line. He was the crown prince. Wasn't it? So nakikita mo yung mga plano ng Panginoon, Sister Mercy, that the hands of God was in the master plan. He was doing something. Akala ni Naomi, yung kamatayan ng kanyang mga anak, ng kanyang asawa, was a complete disaster. But God had a plan. God made something in the land of Israel that they have to move to Moab. And from Moab, Naomi will go back to Jerusalem, to Israel, with Ruth. And Ruth will become the wife of Boaz. And from Boaz, they have a son, Obed. Obed, they have a son, Jesse. And out of Jesse, they have a son, David. Without these people in the bloodline, without these people in the picture, the chemistry of different people will be different. But God is in the exact science of design. So makikita mo ang kamay ng Diyos, mga kapatid. Lahat na nangyayari sa buhay natin may dahilan. We are all actors. Kaya ang sabi mga kapatid, Sister Cynthia, we are we are the clay. And He is the potter. Siya ang gumagawa ng palayok. Siya ang gumagawa ng hugis. We are just a clay. And whatever the potter wants us to become, that is your destiny. Kaya pag nakita mo yung plano ng Diyos sa buhay natin, mga kapatid, ang plano ng Panginoon, magtagumpay tayo eh. John 10:10, I have come to give you life and enjoy life to the full. Yun palagi ang lagi mong hihingin sa Panginoon. Kaya din na nagpunta kami kay Sister Arlene. Hindi pa man din ako nakakaligo. Sabi niya, Pastor, pumunta ka sa bahay namin. Ano ba ang handaan sa inyo? Pastor, basta nagluto kami ni Nick ng lechon dini. Kasi Pastor, nakakailang imbita na ako sa inyo, hindi ka naman napunta. Ako'y nabigla. Abay, sige, hindi pa ako nakaligo. Okay lang sa'yo. Sige lang. Alam mo, pagdating namin doon, Sister Mercy, nakita ko pa nga Sister Mercy, ang tsinelas mo doon eh. May pangalan, Mercy Samiliano. Hindi. Sister Mercy, lagi ka palang nandun eh. Di ba, nakikita ko lagi kang nag-ano doon. Alam mo, inimbitahan namin. Sabi ko, Sister Arlene, ako naman, nagluluto pa naman kayo ha. Tayo ay mananalangin. Hayaan mong ihandog natin sa Panginoon itong inyong bahay. Hanawakan namin ng mga pader, nanalangin kami, nag-Bible reading kami. At inimbitahan ko, Sister Alice, ang magagandang espiritu, ang mga magagandang bagay. Binuksan ko ang kanilang pintuan. Halik kayo. Pagpapala, kasaganaan, pag-ibig. Halik kayo sa tahanang ito. Inimbitahan ko yun. Bakit, Sister Christy? Importanteng iniimbitahan natin ang magagandang bagay ng buhay sa ating bahay. Dahil yan ang gusto ng Panginoon. Ayaw ng Panginoon na tayo ay mga talunan. Ayaw ng Panginoon na tayo ay mga loser, mga luhaan. God's plan for our lives, mga kapatid, ay magtagumpay. So upang makita, bakit Sister Alice? Bakit kailangan tayo magtagumpay? Sabi ng Panginoon, para makita ng buong mundo na ang Diyos na sinasamba mo ay totoong Diyos. Amen ba? Kung hindi ka magtatagumpay, there's no point. Hindi ka makapangaral ng prosperity kasi ang Diyos mo naman pala hindi mapagbigay, hindi mapagpuno ng mga pangangailangan. Paano ka mangangaral ng pagpapagaling? Ikaw nga may sakit. Di ba? Kaya ang gusto ng Panginoon, makita ng buong daigdig na ikaw ay maganda, maayos, magaling, maganda ang buhay, upang sa iyong kagandahan ng buhay, ang kaluwalhatian ng Diyos ang natatanghal. Siya ang napupuri at nabibigyan ng kaluwalhatian. Amen ba, mga kapatid? Kaya mga kapatid, hanggang doon na lamang muna siguro. Napakahaba pa nito because, mga kapatid, kulang tayo sa oras. Pero mga kapatid, I will see you tomorrow. And mga kapatid, God bless you all sa ating mga pastor, sa ating mga bishop, kay Bishop and kay Pastora Lita, and to the rest of our pastor, Pastora Madeline, Pastor Saldi, Pastor Lowell, and kung sino pa mga kapatid na ating mga pastora dyan. God bless you all, mga kapatid. Back to you, Brother Jay.